What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Scarlet and Great podcast, Ohio State football with Scarlet and Great here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Another edition of Coach and the Bullet, one of the segments that we're really proud of on this channel. If you guys are unfamiliar, this is where we bring in Coach Zach Smith of Menace to Sports. If you're not subscribed over there, please subscribe over there. But we bring you content and entertainment and funny stuff, Florida Corey and Shane and myself. But we also strive to bring you some actual in-depth analytics from the best in the business. I get to ask Buckeye-specific questions to a former Buckeye coach and Coach Zach Smith, and we get to really diagnose what's going on with the Buckeyes. So this is a fantastic segment. I think it's one of the best segments, if not the best segment, in all of Buckeye sports media. So if you love Buckeye sports, please subscribe to this channel. You will be entertained and you will be a smarter football fan. 3,500 subscriptions is our call to action by October 30th. That is the Penn State game. Huge matchup, Buckeyes and Nittany Lions. We're smoking subscriptions. We're way over 3,000 now on a newer channel. That's awesome. That's a testament to you guys. I am wearing the Cincinnati shirt here. Just a little support to a little brother down south there, as I am a Southern Ohio guy. But this is all Buckeye love here. So 3,500 subscriptions. Thank you so much. And as always, subscribe for more Buckeye content. Without further ado, I am going to bring in the co-host, Zach Smith, my guest host. Coach, glad you're back here, and we have a lot of good stuff to talk about from the Buckeyes looking really good this weekend.
A lot of good stuff. And I just want everyone to know they need to go over to our channel and watch our version of this show on there, because you literally said Cincinnati is setting the pace as the best team in the Midwest. So I'm just saying a little flip-flopping on that.
Did I say that? If I said that, I would have said Cincinnati looks like the best
No,
team.
you didn't say that. I'm just kidding. Just trying to get people to go watch that video. You know.
Yeah, well, go watch it anyway. Go watch it
Right.
because there's a lot of good stuff. The Midwest Anti-Feinbaum show. You need to check it out.
It really is.
This, Zach, again, I think, like I said in the promo, is the best Buckeye show, mine and your show, in all of Buckeye sports media. Why? Because you have the best question asker, me, and the guy who is, there's no other former coaches that do this. You have former players, you have Carpenter and other guys, and they seem to offer insight, but no one ever, like, I guess Ross Fulton and some guys offer some analyst stuff, but their platform's just not out there and is jumping and is entertaining. Anything I want to know about the team, I can just ask you. And with your permission, I get to record it. So some of the stuff we get to go live with and record. And I just want to say, Zach, you have made me a smarter football fan. You really have. And I love listening to your show. You're late this week, and I'm upset with you. I know you're busy, but no excuses. I know you're doing the dad stuff. No excuses. I do want to say this, though. CJ Stroud looked like the real deal this weekend. But, and I haven't ran this by you, but tell me if I'm right. Mm-hmm. And I would not have known this before I ever listened to Menace to Sports. I'm watching the game, and I'm like, oh, I know what they're doing different. Now I know what they're doing different.
Yeah.
Zach, he was asked to throw to the middle of the field constantly and not so many throws outside the hashes, which you've explained is much easier on a quarterback to connect with.
You know what? It's not only is it easier on a quarterback, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what you do with young quarterbacks, right? That's what Bryce Young at Alabama is doing. I mean, Bryce Young is the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman right now because he's only throwing in the middle of the field and occasionally takes a shot downfield. You start throwing 18-yard throws to the sideline. I mean, if you can do it, great. It is. I mean, it's awesome. It helps your offense a ton. But for a young quarterback or a quarterback that's struggling a little bit, even if they're great, right? Trevor Lawrence had times where he struggled. Justin Fields had games where he wasn't on it. Like, you start centralizing your throws to the middle of the field. And I think that's what they did a great job with against Rutgers. I mean, one, CJ looked like maybe he was a little unhealthy before, taking that time to rest, that, or he just happened to hit those 4 or 5 throws that he missed weeks before. Either way, but they also asked him to make easier throws, right? And let the guys around him thrive and make him look good. And it was really good to see. And I think that needs to be the game plan, healthy or not, moving forward, is help this kid achieve success. They're so loaded on the perimeter at tight end, receiver. I mean, what Mitch Rossi caught a touchdown pass. What are we talking about? Everyone's catching touchdown passes now. I mean, they're so loaded. Just let CJ, make some completable throws, and he'll turn into a guy that can beat you with his arm. Let him just manage right now.
Yeah, and I just thought that was so cool to be able to know what I was looking at more so than just liking what I look at, when I'm watching the game. Right. 2 throws and they were both to the right, of course, on the sideline. One was a beautiful dime to JSN.
Gorgeous.
And the other one was another high throw, but it was high enough that Olave could go up and come down with it.
Yeah, not a lot of people make that catch, though. But, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was better in 3 rows into the stands.
Much better.
We're getting there. And maybe Ryan Day said, all right, my plan was to throw the whole playbook at you and just tell you to grow up in front of our eyes. Now, maybe I'll spoon feed you a little bit, some more middle of the field stuff and let you materialize maybe growth by both the quarterback and the coach.
Yeah, I mean, that might have been the plan. If it was a major error by Ryan. I mean, you look at Trevor Lawrence. They didn't do that to Trevor Lawrence until really his junior year. And that's the year he came out and struggled the first part of the year. And they ended up having a great year, right? Because he grew and learned, through those struggles. And I think it's a little early to ask CJ to go through those struggles. But Ryan's also a lot more demanding of his quarterback than Dabo is. I mean, Dabo's got that gee golly shucks, we got to pick that guy up. And it's like, no, Ryan would tell you, no. CJ needs to see what's going on, redirect his protection back, make sure he's protected. And if he's not protected, he better know when that guy blitzes that he's not protected, and he better either scramble, get it out, or, Ryan's just much more demanding, which is good for the overall product in the end and the overall player in the end. But I think it was a little early to ask CJ to do all of that.
Yeah, it was. And maybe part of that was look, I got great horses on the outside. I got to throw everything at you to try to get it. But whatever it is, he looks good. He looks like the real deal. This team looks good. Guys, do me a favor, like this video if you think the Buckeyes are back. Maybe not back to, the best team in the country, but back to a really daggone good team, the team that you expected to see come out this year. Like this video. If you think OSU is back, I happen to think they are really cementing themselves up there, Zach. But before we get in there, we have one of the reasons they look good is the defense looks vastly improved. I get it, lesser competition in Akron, definitely. And mid-tier I'm not going to call Rutgers the Rutgers of old and garbage. I think they're a mid-tier team. And you have mid-tier competition, but the defense looks to be adjusted. It's causing havoc. You get turnover, guys open, but there's a lot of pressure. So he's throwing the ball late and high, and he's getting hit as he throws, and there's turnovers. Is Matt Barnes coaching himself into a bigger title and a bigger paycheck?
I mean, 100% he is. And I'm honestly shocked that he didn't coach himself into that after the Alabama game. But I think what you're watching is this team's developing, and you're finally seeing a better called defense, and guys are developing at certain positions. I think one of the most concerning things I saw on Saturday is Rutgers threw the ball 40 times and there was only 1 sack. So they're pressuring the quarterback, they're disrupting the ball, which the 2 things that I said they needed to do was pressure the quarterback and disrupt the quarterback and disrupt the ball and get the ball, right? Turn it over. And we saw that on Saturday. You definitely saw that. So huge improvements being made. But at some point, this has been 2 years now, they're not sacking the quarterback. And I know Chase Young is gone. You don't need Chase Young to get a sack. You really don't.
Right.
Now, it was a luxury for the last, 6 years to have Bosa Chase, where you didn't. You could just literally roll them out there and you're going to get some sacks.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, we don't have that guy. I mean, Zach Harrison's really good. I mean, they have talented guys, but we don't have a generational, number 1 overall pick type of player. And so, and if we do, it's JTT and he's a freshman and he's not there yet. Right.
Right.
So
yeah.
There's still things that you need to see. I mean, when they go play Penn State and they got to play Sean Clifford, like he needs to get sacked.
Yes.
For them to win that game, right? When they go play Caden McNamara in the rivalry game, that kid needs to get sacked. I'm all about the pressures and disrupting the ball, but they need to sack the quarterback. There's something demoralizing about a sack. And in a big game, you need that.
Yeah, I'll take it. I guess instead of a sack, I'll act if Zach's Harrison is good enough to get home like he did, redirect the pass to a
Yeah, absolutely.
Buckeye. I'll take it. I just don't know he's good enough to do that every time. So, like
No,
to your
I
point,
mean,
just get home, get him, get him on the ground,
right.
and
And, I kind of classify him similar. Obviously, a disrupted throw that's an interception, that's better than anything, right? Or a strip sack is better than anything. But
yeah.
that next thing is a sack. And if it's a pressure that leads to an incompletion, it's like at some point you got to get home. But to answer your question, I think Matt Barnes absolutely is. I mean, this is a job, a kind of a tryout, right? It's certainly a job interview, but he's got a lot of work to do. And I think Ryan trusts him. That's the reality of it, right? I think Ryan wants him to be the coordinator. I think he wanted him to be the coordinator after the Alabama game. He just didn't really have the narrative to pull that trigger. And so, yeah, I think he will be the defensive coordinator next fall.
So yeah, and one small note, maybe we get sacks by not waiting until the third quarter to play Tylenol Williams.
Hey, I'm telling you, Tylenol, my
That
guy.
dude is a headache. So many people do not get it when I tweet out Tylenol Williams, and they're like, "Oh, autocorrect, gotcha, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Um,
Why they need to listen to the show,
they
right?
do, they do. They're not the smartest fans in the land until they listen to Menace. But
I
I
hear
will
you.
say, so what do you do with Kerry then? Sadly, and I'm not here to kick a guy while he's down. That's not what this is. It's just a genuine question. Do you kind of flip titles and he goes to be special teams coordinator and defensive backs coach, maybe? And with that comes some salary swap.
I mean, yeah, it's happened before, right? Kevin Wilson was the offensive coordinator. Ryan Day was the co-OC, quote unquote. And then, Ryan had some job offers. He told Urban, like, listen, this is all great here. I love Kevin. Kevin's really good. This is not an indictment on him, so a little different. But he told him, he was like, I want to run the show. I want to call the plays. And Urban looked at him. He said, well, I want you to call the plays. And they're like, all right, what do we do? And so
Right.
they approached Kevin very professionally. They were like, listen, Ryan wants to call the plays. He's either going to leave to call them or he'll call them here. I actually want Ryan to call them. We still want you to be heavily involved and still help run the show. And Kevin was like, all right, let's roll. But it takes a guy like Kevin Wilson, right? A guy that just has, he might have an ego, but he's good. He's a professional. He's been around the block. He's got a fat bank account. He's like, all right, whatever. Go Bucks. Let's do it. Like,
Mhm.
it wasn't an indictment on him. It was more a positive on Ryan. Now, that's I guess the one differential between the two scenarios is that it's kind of an indictment on Kerry in this situation, right?
It is. It was.
And
Yeah. No one was calling for a change and move Kevin Wilson down. Move Kevin
no,
Wilson down.
right.
This time there actually was,
So
and there was no way to hide it.
I guess my point is it could be done if Ryan really wanted to keep Kerry and thought he could be a good, co-coordinator, corners coach, whatever. I could see that happening. I don't know that Ryan wants that, so I don't know
Mhm.
if Kerry moves on somewhere or he might retire. Who knows? But I think you might see some staff turnover on the defensive side of the ball, both with Kerry and Larry. At some point, it's going to hang him up. Not because of deficiency. He just at some point is going to be like, you know what? I know. By the way, I know both of his grandkids. They both play sports with my kids. They're really good. Larry might want to just go watch them every time they play. So I don't know when
Mhm.
that's going to happen. He certainly never said that to me, but there's going to be some turnover this offseason for sure.
Yeah, and so with the Kerry Coombs situation, you wonder too if they say, "Look, Kerry, we need you probably to go back to being defensive backs coach." But by the way, we like the way Matt teaches it too, so don't think he can't jump in there and teach it too. And also maybe special teams, and we're going to give you some money, some good money, not the million you're making now. That's
Yeah.
going to Matt. And if Kerry's counter is, man, I was a defensive backs coach in the NFL. I kind of have to think that Ryan would say, I mean, I'd love for you to stay, but I can only do so much, and
Yeah.
you must kind of take that or leave it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, it all comes down to opportunities, right? Does he have an opportunity that he wants to take? And Ryan's going to do what's best for the program, for Ohio State, and for him as in his program. So he's going to put out there whatever if he wants to keep Kerry, he will. If not, he can go get any DB coach in the country if he pays him enough money. So he's not going to be concerned about what Kerry's options are or where Kerry was before. It's going to be really simple. It's going to be like, hey, listen, so this is the plan. You did a good job. We're going to go a different direction. I think, we either he needs to go find another job, or we would welcome you back as the corners coach making $600 a year. If you're interested in that, just let me know. And then Kerry has to make a decision, right? This is grown man stuff, right? This is not, people think that because, they're fans of coaches and fans of teams, that it's like they can't run things like a company. It's simple. This is the direction we're going in. If you want to be a part of it, let us know. If not, go find another opportunity, and we wish you the best.
Yeah, it is a cutthroat. It is a kind and cutthroat industry at that juncture. And that brings me to my next point. Does this mean that Ryan Day and company at Ohio State, it's time for them to install kind of the nepotism Fortune 500 model that Alabama has? Is, we don't do a lot of outside hires. If we do, it's at the low level. And every coordinator is training their protege, and every protege, you need to pay attention to how he's doing it. Because when he gets hired, you get called up, slid right in place, Sarkisian, the Kiffin, like all that right into place. Right. And I think, so didn't we kind of almost saw that, because you had Matt Barnes. Kerry didn't get hired away, but he slid right up into place. Paul Rhodes is there waiting in the wings as an analyst. And didn't you kind of see it? Ryan Day got pulled away from quarterbacks a bit to go be the head coach. Corey Dennis was QA or QC, whatever, and slid right up and in. So is it now the time for Ohio State to kind of implement that model?
I think they've been trying to implement it since Urban was there. I mean, Urban brought in Joker Phillips. He brought in Brian Hartline. He brought guys in like that for that reason. And I think that's been the plan. The problem is you're dealing with a different animal over across the street in the faucet with Gene Smith and the administration, very different from Alabama, where they get nervous about having big name coaches in there. Like, are they cheating? Are they coaching? Like, it's all goes back to compliance and just the nonsense that goes on. So, yeah, I think Ryan's trying to push that envelope. And as long as he does it the right way, that Gene and the administration and compliance, they'll allow it to grow. And I think that's absolutely the model, and how you prevent this Kerry Coombs situation is what you're getting, right? You know what your Christmas gift is because you peeked in the closet, right? You know what's coming. And I think that's where Ryan's pushing. That's what he did with Paul Rhodes. And that's what I think that's his plan. And we'll see if he's able to expand on it and grow it to an Alabama level, but it's got to be.
Yeah. Okay. Again, like this video if you think the Buckeyes are back, and I'm going to get into this because I think they are back to what I think they could be as a team that is really good and growing week by week. Mm-hmm. That is the way I would put it. So, Zach, I got to think, if this team is shored up with the lack of depth of great teams this year, we talked about on your show last week, I think this is the year of don't throw up on yourself and you look pretty good. Right. Iowa can't move the ball to save their life. They're a legit top 5 team because somehow, some way they keep getting their defense to give them great field position. And it's amazing. Well, I can move at 30. If you make me move at 70 yards, I get you a field goal tops. You make me move at 30, I'll get you a touchdown. And
right. We might sneeze a touchdown out of this thing.
Right. And it continues to work. I'm like, you can't bank on turnovers. You go by yards, not points, because you can't bank on turnovers. Iowa keeps getting them. But I say all that to say, I think Ohio State today would be favored, call me crazy, over anybody not named Alabama or Georgia. I don't know. So who's the third ranked team right now? It was Oregon, right? Now
it's
they
Iowa
just
now.
lost. It's Iowa. I like the Buckeyes over Iowa. Iowa's too incomplete.
Yeah. I mean, I think Iowa and Ohio State is going to be an interesting matchup as we look at that. Obviously, if Ohio State handles business, I believe Iowa will be there regardless of how their season pans out, because I don't know who's going to be there in their place. But I think they match up so well for both
strength
of them, right?
Strength.
I mean, about number one on number one, weakness on weakness, and it's just like, honestly, like Iowa's offense, it matches up really well with Ohio State's defense as they play today, right? And Iowa's defense will be the best defense Ohio State faces prior to any kind of playoff matchup if they get there. I think it's honestly one of the best matchups that on paper and on film after 5 weeks that I can remember. I mean, the Iowa's defense is insanely good. They're probably second to only Georgia in the country right now. And Ohio State is so explosive on offense. If they can just have CJ Stroud be accurate, I don't know how you stop their offense. So it is, you talk about, what end game or whatever the Avengers end game was, like, where you got both sides coming and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be so much fun to watch, because it truly is strength on strength. I mean, two colossal titans, one offensive, one defensive. And then the other side is, guys trying to figure it out, and they're not bad. They're just not titans. They're not great. And so it's definitely a strong matchup for both teams, and an exciting one if it happens.
Yeah, I would like to think if Ohio State said, look, we're not going to make mistakes. We're going to end every possession, like Saban says, in a kick, a punt, a field goal, or an extra point. Make them drive the field, 8-man box, make them throw it. I would like Ohio State's chances then by a lot if they don't, throw that havoc interception, kind of like the Wisconsin Big Ten championship game, JT Barrett's final Big Ten game, where Wisconsin created that havoc late. Couple wishes for that game. Iowa's got to wear the black jerseys if it's that tight matchup in the Big Ten championship game. So Iowa's got to wear the black, that intimidating, smoldering defense, and you got to buy me tickets to Lucas Oil, and that will be one heck of a game. I mean, you can buy yourself one too. We can go together, but it'd be a great game.
I'm going to call on Buckeye fans for that one. That ticket might be a hot commodity. I might need a booster or someone with a lot of money to help us out. But I will say this. Here's the one thing, we're really projecting now, which is fun to do. And it's actually, I'm into this, but if Ohio State gets there, if they do what they need to do to get to the Big Ten championship game and play Iowa, you have to imagine, and I guess you have to understand, CJ Stroud will be a much more veteran version of himself after playing Penn State at home in a big time matchup, hopefully at night, then playing Michigan State, then going on the road in the rivalry game in the big house,
and probably a night game in Lincoln.
Right. And he will have gone through some legit like battles where he shows up to Indianapolis in a dome. It's not, it's not scary. It's not raining. It's not windy. It's pretty. Like, he's been through it a little bit. I think that'll be a chance for him to really show why he's the quarterback at Ohio State, if he can just keep developing and get through these tests.
Yep. So real quick, before I let you go, does Ohio State 5-peat as Big Ten champions, as you could call it today?
No. I mean, I could see that they do it. I hope that they do it, but I don't think this team that I've watched through 5 weeks, despite they look better against Rutgers, beats Penn State, Michigan, and Iowa. I just don't think that happens. Now, if they lose one and still make it, then can they beat Iowa? Yeah, they probably can. But I see them losing one more game this year. I really do.
And then they would have to have that team, not be from the West or not be from the East. And if they are from the East, lose another game.
Two other games.
Yes, 2 other games if they're in conference. Yep. So, well, I'm going to say, yes, they do 5-peat. And I hate being a homer. I'm going to out-analyze the analyst and just say maybe he knows too much for his own good. And I'm just a dummy here saying go Buckeyes. So 5-peat from me, no from Zach. We'll see where it goes. Although I did say before the season, if there was a year not to win it, it would be this year. But that was then. This is now. Zach, thanks so much for coming on.
No, thanks for having me.
All right, guys. We'll see you all next time. Remember to subscribe to Menace to Sports. Subscribe here to Scarlet and Great. As always, goodbye. God bless, and go Bucks.